Hey everyone, welcome back to our prenatal yoga teacher training. So, in this section, I will be teaching you guys some warm up poses and moves that you can do at the beginning of the class. I always recommend warming up the students before starting to do any of the bigger poses. And let's start with one of the most basic ones that you can do with your moms. So that would be the cat cow. So there's different variations that you can do for cat cow, especially with the moms. And with the props, if the knees are hurting, you can always put a blanket underneath the knees. So they have some extra padding. If the wrists are hurting, you will use fists instead of palms flat. So, a couple of variations. Curling the toes under helps the knees as well, kind of cushion them. So, as you come into some cat and cow, inhale is the cow, exhale is the cat. Now, if the mom kind of feels like too much pressure in the ab for cow, you can have the moms just do cat, flat back, cat. Okay, so it looks like this. Inhale, cow, tilting the pelvis up, lifting the heart, looking up, and as you exhale, cat pose. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, cat pose. Now, if the mom feels like, oh, it's a lot of pressure in the abs, you're gonna tell her to do exhale, cat pose. Inhale, neutral spine. Exhale, cat pose. Inhale, neutral spine. Now, if the moms have a little bit of back pain, another way you can do cat cow is doing gomukhasana legs. So, really crossing the thighs. You'll do it both sides, meaning right thigh bone crossed behind left, and then left thigh bone crossed behind right. And you'll exhale cat, and you'll tell them to push back a little bit, do a little wiggle, and that should relieve some back pain. And then they can either do the neutral spine or come into cow. All right, so that's variations of cat and cow. Great warm up pose for the spine. The next one is I'll show you some child's pose. So, child's pose for moms, you can still use the blanket for the knees. Sorry, you might hear some background noise. We have a vacuum going on in the back. So let me know if you cannot hear. I can redo the video, but I think you should be able to hear. But anyways, for a child's pose, you can have the blanket underneath the mom's knees, and then if the baby is really big, tummy's really big, they might need some support from the bolster or the block where they can rest their forehead onto the block. They can rest their forearms onto the block. Okay, I really like the bolster because it kind of gives a little bit of cushion. So that looks like this. Coming to child's pose, forehead resting on the bolster. Or you can do child's pose where the bolster is in between the legs. Okay, and if baby is kind of big, maybe the bolster is just underneath the chest, and they can place their forehead onto the bolster, or they can turn their head to one of the sides. Okay, that's child's pose. That's a great warm up pose for the hip flexors, especially if they're feeling some stretch in the round ligament. Child's pose is really good. Also, it's a great warm up pose for just stretching out the spine. Okay. All right, next warm up pose that you can do is doing some side bends. Sitting in Sukhasana, meditation pose like this, sitting on a bolster or blanket so they can have a slight tilt in the pelvis, or if they feel better, sitting on a block for seated meditation pose. Just doing easy side bends, inhaling arms up, exhaling side bend towards the right. This will give them a chance to expand the side body, especially when baby gets a little bit bigger, making more room for breathing. Inhale both arms up, exhale side bend towards your left. Okay, that's one side bend that you can do. Another side bend you can do is gate pose. Okay, you'll come into all fours, extend right leg back, Flip the toes so they face away from midline, and then reach right arm up and over. This one feels really good, okay? Make sure you do that on both sides. Same thing, extend left leg back, turn left toes out away from midline, reach left arm up and over. Okay. Um, Multiple side bend sequences you can do, so add side bends to your warm up. Okay, another one is pelvic circles. So really loosening up the hips. This feels good to the lower back, outer hips. Coming into all fours, you can do pelvic circles this way. Okay, doing pelvic circles this way. Another way you can do it is maybe when you get towards standing poses, you can stand up, doing pelvic circles this way. Okay, pelvic circles, they can also be called hip circles. All right, and then you can also do torso circles as well. Coming into seated, hands to knees, making the women move their torso in a circular way. Okay, make sure you do the clockwise and reverse clockwise. And then also, this one's so good. Everyone loves neck stretches, neck circles, shoulder circles. One of the next neck stretches that you can do is interlace your hands behind your lower back. Bring both hands to the outside of one of the hips. Squeeze the elbow back. Move the head away from the fists. Okay, that's a good one. Interlacing the hands behind the back of the head. Squeeze elbows towards midline and then round the spine. That gives a nice upper back stretch and the back of the neck stretch. Um, Neck circles, gentle neck circles, chin to chest, ear to shoulder, chin up towards the sky, ear to shoulder, and then chin down. Make sure you do clockwise and counterclockwise. And then shoulder rolls are very nice. You can also incorporate the bands in the shoulder rolls, maybe placing the strap above the head, doing shoulder rolls that way. And then also bringing this strap behind the body allows the moms to open up the heart and the shoulders, bring the shoulder up and around and forward. This is really good, especially if they're sitting at a desk all day, and especially when baby's kind of getting heavy. It's just natural to kind of sink in. That one undoes that. Okay, and then you can also do Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together. This is a nice stretch. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, nose towards the toes. Coming into an inner thigh stretch, hip stretch is a nice one to start off with. And another warm up pose is sun salutation. So maybe you do all that and then you want to move to sun salutations. Prenatal sun salutations is a lot different than normal sun salutations. You want to make sure that you move slower. So if you're going up and down, you want to do like slower times 10x slower so that the women don't get dizzy going up and down. You can also not even do sun salutations if you feel like a lot of the women don't the a lot of the women are feeling fatigued and nauseous that day, so you won't do any sun salutations. But I'll give you an example of how prenatal sun salutations go. It's just like the beginning. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, forward fold, and you're going to use a block. Let me get my blocks ready. Okay, hands to blocks. Inhale, flat back, look forward. Exhale, come down to the knees. You're going to take your time. The moms use the blocks to get up and down if they would like. Placing the blocks off to the side here. Now, up to your students' preference, they can either keep the knees right underneath the hips and they do chaturanga like that. You just chaturanga bend down and then you come all the way back up. That's all. Or if they want more of a challenge, they'll back the knees up, exhale down, inhale up. Or they just hold all fours if they choose not to do any of that, okay? For their back bend, they will do a cow if it feels comfortable to them, or they'll keep a flat back. So exhale, cow. This is their upward facing dog, so we're using cow pose to replace that. And then they come into downward facing dog, lifting the hips up and back. Okay, as they come forward to their mat, they can use their block again. They can keep the block where they're at, or they can move it to the side, up to them. Slowly start to step your way to the top of the mat. Same thing here. Inhale, flat back. You can use your blocks. Exhale, forward fold. Bend the knees. Inhale, rise up. Tell them to go extra slow here. Exhale, arms down by your side. Okay, so those are the few things that I recommend that you guys incorporate into your class for warm-ups. But if you find there's a different pose or something else that you would like to incorporate in your warm-up, but you're not sure if it's okay for prenatal women, make sure you leave a comment, write me an email, and I will answer you whether it's okay or not, or if it's a great idea. But there's a lot of flexibility with this, but these are basic warm-up poses that you can incorporate in your class. All right, catch you later.